I know what you're thinking, right? 2 videos in a row by this guy shitting on the same show. This guy is toxic. I hate him. Hear me out. That is true, but hear me out. So, I made the previous Arcane video, and there was one legitimate criticism to come from the comments on it, and it was that I focused too much on the fan base and not enough on the shitty, terrible, garbage show itself. Fair enough. I really went in on the fans. That was what I was most annoyed with at the time. But I decided to make this video a second video where I'm very polite to the fans and I focus on the biggest problem Arcane has, and that is the writing. So this will be my very legitimate 100% serious review type video. It's not a review, don't do those. But this is the closest I'll probably get. It's also the last time I'm going to talk about Arcane, probably ever, but definitely until like season 2.5 drops. So we're going to be mainly focusing on writing. Another thing I wanted to bring up really quick at the beginning is another thing regarding comments on the previous video. 2 things. People calling it bait, which we'll get to, and people saying all my videos are negative, which is very quick to debunk. That might honestly be, calling it bait, might honestly be the saddest thing you can do on the entire internet. I mean, you know, if you go like full Chris Chan, maybe there's more sad things that you can do, but you are so weak-minded that you are defending a show you have nothing to do with just to deflect criticism from someone you literally don't know. So, my bad. I just want to apologize for not keeping the tone of that entire video dreadfully serious and adding a couple of little jokes in there and being a little bit of a wacky fellow. That totally makes it bait, bro. You're right. The video was entirely bait. I actually don't believe any of it. That's why I put time and any effort at all into making a video. I actually don't believe any of it, and you're right. It's total bait. Just kidding. I pranked you. And I went through, I've been meaning to do this for a while because this is a comment I've gotten multiple times. And I counted all the videos I've ever uploaded, unlisted, private, everything. And the total came out to negative videos, 22. Positive videos, 21. So, yes, I've made more negative videos than positive videos. However, there's a third number that we need to discuss, and that is neutral videos that are not negative or positive. And that number was 64. So, more than the other 2 combined. The overwhelming majority of my videos are just neutral. They don't have a positive or negative tone whatsoever. Nice try, part 2, you retards. And if you watched the first Arcane video, simply go away, please. I should have brought this up at the beginning of the video, the very first thing I should have said, but I forgot. I don't want a very high view count on this video. Let's keep it below 20 views total, guys. Thank you. I love you so much. You know it. But yeah, if you watched the first Arcane video, go away. It's too late now, but whatever. You might as well just leave because you're going to disregard everything I say anyways. But even if we completely disregard the fan base of this show, which is cringe by the way, it's still worth making a video about. If Arcane fans didn't exist, Arcane would still be a terribly written show. So, let us first talk about the overall pacing and construction of the show, which I did in the other video, albeit relatively briefly. Long story short, it's awful. The show does not know how to keep a cohesive story going. And I realize that there are several different plots happening at once, right? That are honestly not even really connected to each other. Jace and Victor's whole subplot is so loosely I mean, it really is barely connected at all to anything else, right? Like, the only thing that happens is they lose a gem and Jinx gets it. That's how they're connected. And then Jinx shoots a big old dang rocket at him. That's pretty much it. But the show does not really know how to move from scene to scene. It is just constant, hard cuts, which makes it very confusing to keep up with the timeline. And I honestly think the reason maybe that Arcane appeals to stupid people is just because, and I don't mean this in a mean way, I'm not calling you stupid in a mean way, but I think maybe the reason for that is just because nobody with a working brain would ever put up with this. You would watch like 3 episodes of this and be like, what? Ugh, I don't want to watch this. Why isn't this just 3 different shows? Okay, I know it's not writing, but I feel that it's important to bring it up, and that's art. The art style of the show and everything. Art is 100% subjective. I'll give that to you, you know? Some people might like this sewer rat art, but in my personal and professional opinion, the art of Arcane is ugly. That's just the way it is. I personally believe that. You can believe otherwise. You can like these really ugly, gross-looking characters. That's fine. I don't really know what that says about me or what that says about you, but it says something. The problem is on a technical level, it's really good. But it's like if you bought an original Michelangelo sculpture and you just like spray painted it neon green for some reason. Why have such a strong base, put so much effort into the base, the bones, if you're not going to put any effort into taking advantage of it? That's one of the biggest question marks I have about this show is I don't think it was very cheap to make, and yet it looks worse than most anime. Okay, back to writing. I'm trying to keep this video as short as possible, but you know how I am. Let's talk about character writing, because it's one thing that I see getting pretty much universal praise from fans of Arcane, is they say, dude, the character writing in this show is so good. But, no? Why are people saying this? There are particularly two characters that get brought up constantly for some reason, and that is Silko and Jinx. And I brought this up in the previous video, but shut up. Silko is probably the best, maybe the second best written character in the show, and Jinx has become like the de facto mascot of the show, which is very confusing because she's probably the worst written character of all time. We'll circle back. But newsflash, brainlets, no character in this show is well written because no character is written at all. Every single character is just decades old tropes reused with literally no changes. In fact, I was so confused that I went back and rewatched Arcane. That's why this video has taken like a week to come out, because I had to force myself to sit through Arcane again, because I was like, man, something is off, but I just can't figure out what it is. And then it hit me. It's all tropes that have been done a million times before, but a while ago. These are all things that I saw in movies back in like 2006, or movies that came before that. Now, I'm not that old, but for most of my life, these tropes have been dead because they were just done to death. But I was like, there's one place where I see these being done still. Where is it? And that is Hallmark Channel. This is like animated Hallmark Channel movies. And they're pretty much the only modern place that uses these absolutely basic bitch tropes. So let's just run through a few of them, right? Silko. He's just the classic evil man who cares about only one thing. I personally haven't seen that a million times before. Vi is just a troubled loner with a heart of gold. I think Arcane probably made that one up. They probably invented that one. I think there's almost a 99% chance. Caitlyn is the awkward, sheltered child who leaves home on a wacky adventure that she gets way in over her head. Jace is the ambitious fool who gets manipulated by greedy people. Ambitious, talented fool, I should say. Echo is just Black Robin Hood. I could do this for pretty much every single character in Arcane that has like more than 5 minutes of screen time, with one single exception, and that is Jinx. Jinx actually, to be fair, isn't an overused trope because she is so profoundly underwritten that she isn't really a character at all. She is damaged purely for the sake of being damaged. She's crazy and violent purely for the sake of being crazy and violent. She is the most one-dimensional and irredeemable character I have seen in a very long time. The fact that they are almost certainly going to try and give this piece of human garbage a redemption arc is pathetic. She deserves no second chance because she is and always has been a vile subhuman. Think about what it took for Jinx to quote-unquote snap. Was her sister getting mad at her? No, actually, that's wrong. Her sister getting mad at her didn't really have that much to do with it. What snapped in Jinx was her sister leaving her alone for like 17 minutes after she heard a snippet of a conversation, which, by the way, talk about an overused trope. Holy God, I haven't seen that in movies. That's like a classic from things from the 90s and early 2000s, is a character hears someone say something, but only like the end of a conversation, and is like, oh, I understand everything now. I'm just going to leave. I'm not going to listen anymore. So next time you try and tell me that Jinx is well written, stop and think about it. And think about, is this character actually written at all? Is this even a character? Because the answer that you should come to is no. And to end this little discussion with a random side note, I didn't really get a chance to shoehorn this into the first Arcane video, but something that is so strange to me is that the LGBT community has basically decided to vow their eternal loyalty to this show. Why? I have no idea. It has literally zero gay characters in it. It just seems like, to me, this passion could be better used elsewhere on shows that actually have representation in them, maybe? I don't know. That's just my thoughts. But all of this, every single thing I've said and I've brought up is completely pointless. Because at the end of the day, Arcane fans will not change their opinions in the slightest, no matter what they're presented with. I could have said all of these things in the absolute nicest way possible. And I could have said, hey, Jinx isn't written very well. She doesn't have very much depth as a character, but I still love her though. I still love her, and I love Arcane, guys. It wouldn't matter. They wouldn't even begin to think about changing their opinions. It is like arguing with a brick wall if a brick wall was made up entirely of shit and pedophilia. And I've come to realize I'm not even mad about it either. I definitely was when I made the original video, but now that I've spent a solid week, like 6 days, interacting with tons of Arcane fans, I just feel pity. Honestly, the slightest amount of pity. You are all acting like such idiots on the internet for a show that desires nothing from you but money, which admittedly is how it normally goes, but with other shows this popular, usually you get a decent product to go along with it. And at the end of the day, I know I'm right, and there isn't a single thing that any of you can say to me to change that, because it is just true. It is just the way it be. You can call me all the racist names you want, comment all the horrible things you want, say this video is bait 1 billion trillion times, but it will change nothing. I am right, you are wrong, and somewhere deep, deep down inside you, you know that, and you have to live with it. So that's why I feel slight amounts of pity, because that sucks. That's going to do it for this video, though. You are welcome for another free round of Reddit karma, you fellow gamers, you Arcane gremlins. I love all of you, even the Arcane fans. But, you know, Arcane fans I love in, like, a different way. This, like I said, will be the last video I make about Arcane for a really long time. And let's try and keep the view count low. Actually, don't put it on Reddit, because I don't want to deal with Redditors. Scrap that. Don't ever put this on Reddit. And do not tell your grandma about it, like I normally ask. Don't tell anyone about it. Keep it to yourself. This one is for the real fans. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'll see you guys again with another video very soon. And maybe I'll respond to all the comments on this video too. We'll see how busy my week is.